YouTubers, it's Regina. It is Wednesday, November 18th, and this is post-op week 20 lap band surgery. Yesterday, the 17th, I was at my surgeon's office, and they actually moved to this gorgeous new suite of offices, which is probably 4 times the size of their old office. So I'm glad I'm not having surgery now because they probably bumped up their prices. But anyway, so I saw my surgeon. Well, I saw his associate, Dr. Small, and I have grown to love him. Remember, I didn't want to see him. I didn't know him. I was going to wait for my guy, but this guy is really, really sweet. I am down, according to their scale yesterday, I was down 41.5 pounds. And I am exactly 20 weeks today. So I did not get a fill. I am still at 5 mLs in my 11 ml Realize band. Last week I was 241.5, and this morning on my scale I was 239.0. So I've lost 42.5 pounds. That's a total of 15% of my body weight, day of surgery body weight gone, and I'm averaging 2.1 pounds a week, which is perfect. So then while I was in there with Dr. Small, I was talking to him about the ear infection thing and the correlation with the PBing and this, that, and the other, and he kind of sat there and he was like, yeah, no, I haven't really heard that. So then we started talking about the anatomy of the ear. The eustachian tube, when you're small, is at an angle, it lets things backflow. That's why kids get so many. But as an adult, the canal changes, whatever, so it makes it less likely. But he was saying, if I was PBing and projectile vomiting with that much force, that it could have, that amount of pressure and force could have forced some of the fluid and bacteria into the canal. So he's like, you know, it's not impossible that that's what caused it, but yeah, I haven't heard anyone say that, you know. So again, like I had thought from my research that it's plausible. You know, did it actually happen that way? We don't know, but it's very, very suspect if you ask me. So he said that he would see me in 12 weeks. Is he crazy? 12 weeks? No. I was like, oh no, that's like 3 months. He was like, you're doing great. I think, no. He's like, okay, when do you want to see me? I was like, in 4 weeks. He was like, no, 6 weeks. So I was like, all right. So I'm going to see him on December 31st at 10 a.m. And at that point, I'll be getting a fill. So I'll be starting the new year on liquids, which is absolutely fine. The holidays don't pose any serious eating overeating risks for me, because I don't really go and visit, and I'm far from family and whatever, so it won't, you know, the holidays aren't gonna derail my diet or anything. So when I was leaving, I was thinking to myself, like, wow, I'm gonna be at the same restriction from October 6th to January. That just seems like a really long time, but you know, you can't just run and get a fill. You have to work this. This is a tool, you know? And I just was thinking to myself, you know, like, game on. It's me and the band through the next 6 weeks. And so far, when I followed the rules, this band has not let me down at all. When I have had the proper amount of water, when I have made food choices that were appropriate, when I have exercised at least 30 minutes a day, 3 to 4 times a week, I have seen that scale move, and I mean significantly. 2.5 pounds, 3 pounds. You know, I'm happy with anything over 0.5. 0.5, 0.9 lets me know that I really could have done better, or I have my menses. And I talked about that with him too, and I was saying, you know, he said, are you having any problems? I said, if it wasn't for that 10 days, you know, that 5 days pre and the 5 days of, I'd be sailing through this, and he was like, I said, it's my perceived need for carbs. And he said, well, I don't know if it's really just perceived. He's like, those hormones, they're tough customers, So I think it's a little bit psychological as well as physiological. So we love him even more because he understands us. What else? So, the Dave story. I think this video looks really dark, but I'm not sure. It's really dark in here today. And I have the overhead light on. And I have the blinds open, but it's gray outside today. So the Dave story is, we were all hot and heavy. We went out 3 times in 4 days and texting, calling, emailing, the whole 9. He's not an early person. He's not a morning person. I don't understand how you work corporate America and you're not a morning person, but he isn't. And so on nights that I've slept over, he's got 3 alarm clocks going off. His cell phone's going off. I mean, that's just amazing to me that it takes that much to get him out of bed. So when I'm at work and or at home and I'm awake at 6, I just text him. Wake up, babe, wake up, whatever. Sometime in the morning, before his first appointment or after his first appointment or whatever, he'll text me back and say, oh, I made it in, whatever. And then throughout the day, we usually talk a little bit. Now, Tuesday nights, he has his 6-year-old, and he is responsible for getting her to school on Wednesday. Well, they had a rough morning. He overslept. Then he tried to rush her, and trying to rush kids in the morning just doesn't work. So they had a very rough morning. He got her to school late, and when I had talked to him, he was like, oh, her mom's going to pick her up. Teacher's going to tell her she was late to school today, and I'm going to hear about that, and, whatever. I said, well, I'm sure her mother has gotten her to school late at some point, and if she hasn't yet, she will in the future. It's inevitable. Life happens, stuff happens, get over it, whatever. I was like, she's 6. She didn't miss her SATs. It's okay. So, every day after that, he was just more frantic and just kind of on the go, and like we hadn't seen each other in like a week or whatever. So the one day I only talked to him, I didn't talk to him at all. I texted him, he texted me back, and that was it for the whole day. So it was like 12:30 at night, and I was like, hey, I haven't talked to Dave today. So I emailed him, and I was like, I didn't want to text him because he sleeps with his phone. So I was like, oh, it might wake him up. I'll just email him. And so I just kind of jokingly emailed him and was like, I didn't hear from you today. Oh, what's going on, And he absolutely did not have a sense of humor. He wrote me back such a vicious email. Yes, vicious. He was like, he was unaware that he had to run his itinerary by me. If I want a breakdown of his day, this is what happened. And he like listed all the things that happened in his day. And he went on to say that his life is not like mine. He has responsibilities. He has 2 children, 2 jobs, and a 76-year-old mother that depends on him. Then he was like, he's been divorced for 3 years. He needs to figure out how to have someone in his life, and he just needs room to breathe. He's got to go. He can't talk about this anymore. And I was like, wow. Wow. And I don't know how long I've been talking, so I'm going to stop now so I can give you my response and what's happened since.